Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe with Smokin Joe's BBQ. On today's video, I've got another experiment. Is a reverse seared steak better than a sous vide steak? You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. All right, first things first, let's select our weapon of choice. And what am I gonna be using? I think I'm gonna be using this slicing knife right here. And I wanna try my slicer, my large slicer as well. See which one does a better job of slicing up our steaks. All right, so here's my prime rib roast. This is a USDA prime grade, and this is from 1855. If you guys have not tried the 1855 meats, I gotta tell you, it is some of the best meats out there. Now, when you're buying 1855, you're gonna get upper 2/3 choice or prime, not anything less than that. So again, if you see that badge, you're getting some good meat. All right, so I'm gonna take this prime rib out of the package, and I cannot wait to slice this baby into some steaks. Now you can definitely do a prime rib, but I personally like a ribeye steak over prime rib. Let me know in the comments section, what do you guys prefer? Ribeye steaks cooked perfectly or prime rib? Let me know what you guys think. All right, so I've got a prime rib out of the package. Now the very first thing I like to do when I'm cutting steaks out of a prime rib is to square off the entire prime rib roast. So that means we got to take off a little bit from each end, just so that we have a nice square prime rib. Okay, so these pieces do not go to waste. And this side as well. And right now I'm using my slicer, and it's doing a really nice job. Nice and straight as well. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. So the reason I do that is because these ends are kind of weird. Okay, it's really thick on this side, then it's flat on this side as well. And let me show you the other end. It's super thick on this side with a lot of fat and really thin on this side. Now for this experiment, I'm gonna get 2-inch thick cut steaks from the center portion of the ribeye roast. The rest of these steaks, I'm gonna be vacuum sealing them, and I want these about a 1-inch thick ribeye steak. So I'm gonna start on this side and cut about a 1-inch thick cut steak. And again, I'm using my slicer knife, but I'm gonna switch right now and use my meat slicing knife, my other meat slicing knife, and see which one slices better. Well, I can tell you right off the gate that my large meat slicer is going to work better because it's just a larger knife, longer knife I should say. And I have better control of the knife. My gosh, look at that marbling. So I'm going to go back to my large slicer, get nicer cut steaks using this. All right, so I'm almost at the center of the prime rib. So now I'm gonna get my 2-inch thick cut steaks. Oh yeah, this is gonna be fantastic. Let me see, 1 inch, about 2 inches right there. Oh yeah. Look at that beauty right there. Oh yeah. Cut another 2-inch thick cut steak. Now I'm going to go back to 1-inch thick cut steaks. And again, oftentimes it's a lot cheaper, or less expensive I should say, to buy the entire prime rib, take it home and slice it yourself. Anytime that you see ribeye steaks at a store, that means a butcher had to cut those steaks. That means there's more labor involved, so you're going to pay a higher price. So oftentimes it's better to get these larger cuts of meat, take them home and process them yourself. All right, so we got 11 beautiful ribeye steaks. I'm gonna pull these 2-inch thick cut steaks out. I'm gonna be using these for this video. So we've got 9 steaks. All right, so I like to vacuum seal my steaks. I'm gonna show you guys how I vacuum seal these as well. I gotta tell you, if you do not have a vacuum sealer, I highly recommend that you do get one. You can save a ton of money, again, by processing your meats at home. Plus, again, as I mentioned earlier, the meat's gonna last a lot longer once it's vacuum sealed. All right, so I've got my meat chamber vac here. And I've got my steaks that we packaged up. Just put the bag under the tabs. Make sure the bag is nice and flat on the sealing bar. Put your bag size, which I have a large bag, and lower the door. And just like that, got our vacuum sealed ribeye steaks ready for another day. I'm gonna seal the rest of these up, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so I vacuum sealed our steaks. Now let's get to our 2-inch thick ribeye steaks. Now, on the steak that I'm gonna reverse sear, I'm gonna be dry brining this steak. So add enough kosher salt. So I'm gonna explain dry brining to you guys that don't quite understand what that is. Simply put, all we're doing is putting enough salt. What the salt is gonna do is it's gonna draw out the moisture from the steak, okay? And you're like, well, why do you wanna do that? You know, is your steak gonna dry out doing so? Well, it's not. What's gonna happen, as the moisture gets drawn out from the steak, it's gonna settle on top of the steak, or on the surface of the steak, the sides, everywhere we're putting salt, okay? And what that's gonna do, it's gonna draw the saltiness into the meat, okay? So we wanna make sure that we do this at a minimum of 24 hours, okay? Make sure you get your edges. You can already see the moisture starting to come to the surface right there. Again, it's gonna melt the salt or dissolve the salt and hopefully suck a lot of that fluid, that salty fluid, into that steak. So as far as the sous vide steak, I'm gonna add salt as well. We're not gonna be dry brining this steak, but I am gonna be vacuum sealing this steak, okay? Now the same bag that I'm gonna vacuum seal the steak in is the same bag that I'm going to use in my sous vide. All right, so I'm just gonna grab my sous vide steak, put it inside my vacuum bag. All right, just like that, our steak is nicely vacuum sealed. All right, so I've got my sous vide steak right here, and I've got my dry brine steak. I guess you can call this dry brine as well, but this one's gonna sit in my refrigerator uncovered. We will see you guys in 24 hours. Stay tuned. All right, so it's the very next day, and our steaks have been resting for 24 hours. Again, we have our dry brine steak right here, and we have, I guess it could be a dry brine steak that I vacuum sealed. Now, we're gonna have a change of plans here. I said I was gonna put this bag in the sous vide, but I need to season the steak first. All right, so right out of the gate, you can definitely see a color difference on the steak that I vacuum sealed. Okay, it's a much darker color. This one's a much brighter red color. Now these steaks were the same size, but again, because we vacuum sealed this one, it actually got a little bit whiter, which I'm okay with. All right, so I'm not gonna add any more salt, but I am gonna add a little bit of garlic powder. I'm gonna apply the same seasoning to both steaks. All right, next I'm gonna add some 16 mesh black pepper to both steaks. Add enough black pepper. All right, so now I'm gonna place the sous vide steak back inside our chamber vac bag. All right, our steak is vacuum sealed. Let's put it in our sous vide machine. All right, so I've got my sous vide machine set at 135 degrees. I'm gonna lift up the lid and drop our steak in there. All right, so I do have our sous vide machine set for 3 hours, but it's only gonna go for 2 hours. I'm gonna try to time both of these steaks to come off at the same time, both the reverse seared steak that's coming off of the smoker and the sous vide steak that's inside of the sous vide machine. That way I can sear them at the exact same time. Let's head outside. All right, so about 30 minutes have passed since I put the steak inside the sous vide machine. I've got my Yoder Y640 running at 250 degrees. Let's load in our reverse seared steak. Look at all that smoke. Now I am using these smoking pecan pellets, just in case you guys are wondering. And those pellets are 100% pecan shell. That's gonna give us a ton of smoke, as you can see right here. All right, here's our steak. Top rack. Again, 250 degrees. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close my smoker door. Again, I'm looking for 130 degrees. Once the steaks hit 130 degrees internal, I'm gonna sear them on my Weber kettle. Stay tuned. All right, so I just pulled both steaks off. This steak right here is a reverse seared steak or smoked steak, and this is our sous vide steak right there. They actually look very similar in color, as you can see right here. Now this steak did smoke for 1 hour and 45 minutes, and the sous vide steak was in the sous vide for just over 2 hours. All right, so I've got my 1962 Weber kettle, scorching hot. It's probably 1,000,000 degrees right now. There's a reverse seared steak. And here's our sous vide steak. Now I'm just gonna give these a quick sear. It's been about 30 seconds there. I'm gonna flip it. Flip our sous vide steak as well. Oh man, look at that char. That is absolutely beautiful. All right, another 30 seconds. One more flip. Man, I can't wait to show you guys these steaks. They are looking beautiful. All right, so one more flip. I'm gonna let these cook for about 30 seconds, and I'll see you guys inside. All right, guys, the moment of truth. The steaks are ready. Now, they have been resting for 10 minutes. This steak right here is my sous vide steak, and this steak right here is my reverse seared steak. You can definitely tell a color difference on the reverse seared steak. This one is a little bit darker, which I kind of like. And this one right here, the sous vide steak, looks nice and juicy. All right, so before I slice any of these steaks, check out this beautiful cutting board from 2 Acre Woodworks. Check them out at the link below and get yourself a nice discount on a cutting board or maybe some tumblers. This guy, Andy, does some amazing work. Again, check them out. All right, so the first steak that I'm gonna slice into is our sous vide steak. I'm gonna slice it right here. Man, it is nice and tender, and the aroma is unbelievable. All right, check that out. Beautiful. Same with this steak, around the same area. Ooh, this one's more tender. I'm liking this steak right here right now, mainly because of the crust. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, both of these steaks are perfectly wall-to-wall pink. Look at that. Beautiful color. This is a reverse seared steak. And here's our sous vide steak. Man, this one feels nice and tender. Oh yes. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of finishing salt. This is fleur de sel. Thanks to my buddy Pitmaster X for turning me on to this awesome salt. Oh yes. All right, there's only one thing to do, is to try these steaks out. Let's give them a try. All right, let's give this sous vide steak a try. Look at that beautiful color right there. Looking mighty fine. Here we go. Oh my. That is super tasty. Perfect amount of salt. Good beefy flavor. That right there, I'm gonna say it right now, that is the best steak I've ever had in my life. I don't know what this reverse seared steak is gonna taste like, but this is absolutely delicious. All right, let's try the reverse seared steak. Does smoking it really make that much of a difference? Is it gonna taste better? Look at that, perfect color. Wall-to-wall pink. Here we go. All right, you guys are gonna be surprised to hear me say this. This reverse seared steak, there's nothing wrong with it, okay? It is absolutely delicious. But this sous vide steak right here is something very special. You know, I never really understood the whole sous vide thing and why it's so popular, but now I do. And Guga, you are onto something. Man, I wish you guys could taste this. So good. All right, I'm gonna let my daughter give this a try and see what she thinks. That's a sous vide steak, baby.
It's really good, really tender.
Yeah, huh? Give this reverse seared steak a try. All right, so what do you think, baby?
I think I like this one more.
The reverse seared steak? Okay. Well, that is perfectly fine to me. Now, which one is more tender to you? This one right here, the sous vide steak? Okay. It is absolutely tender, like almost like buttery. This one right here has a little bit more texture, the reverse seared steak does, but they are, again, both absolutely delicious. But this sous vide steak is the winner for me. All right, folks, there you have it. In my opinion, the sous vide steak wins this battle. If you guys have not tried a sous vide steak before, I highly recommend that you give it a try. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this is your first time to my channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Until next time, Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit BBQ. See ya.